Hey, welcome to my front room. It's time for functional conditioning yoga with me, Ricky, and Romy the dog. You gonna be cute? Doesn't look like she's gonna be cute. Looks like she's gonna be naughty. But we'll be alright. We'll be fine. So, let's get us started. Just perched on the edge of the sofa and sitting up nice and tall, checking in with ourselves to see if we can be kind of relaxed. With shoulders down, and working out what part of your hips, what part of your bum is sat on the sofa, and just tune into that. Let's practice silent breathing using rib cage. So you're breathing all the way in with the ribs, all the way out with the ribs. All nasal breathing as well. And being able to be calm in the face of stress like this is kind of stressful when a dog's trying to play fetch with you and you try to do yoga. It's kind of okay though, because she'll stay kind of quiet. She'll just keep trying to push this ball into my hand, but I'll be alright, and I can still breathe. And then do a little side bend, side to side. See if you can feel rib cage. Lengthen one side, lengthen the other side. Shorten one side, shorten the other side. And keep this moving. And then see if you can rotate. Squeeze into rotation one side and then the other. And we're going to check in with balance, because it's one that I can normally get Romy to chill out for. So I'll just flip her upside down and she won't know what to do with herself. So we grab hold of Romy the dog, hold her like a baby, and see if you can just pitch your weight between 2 feet and make sure you've got diagonal feet like this. So you're wide enough that you can push weight side to side, long enough that you can push weight forwards and backwards, and you'll be alright and you won't fall over. And then I'm going to play with how to balance from this, but this is our safety net. Whenever you think you're going to fall over, you push yourself back to this shape, because you can move in any direction and you're very unlikely to fall from this shape. So as you pitch your weight forwards and you put all the weight over this front foot, and you pick up the back leg behind you, and then you use your big toe to push you back to safety again. Let's try that again. This time I want you to try and lift your heel up behind you as far as you can and find the end of your hip and push yourself back. What's important is that you push yourself back using your big toes. So your big toes are your strength and communication with the floor. So as you pick up, I can feel my big toes kind of push me back. I'm going to try and find the outside of my hip, lift this up, hold it, and then push back. There we go. Look at this, Romy sits still while she's belly up. It's an amazing thing. Okay, swap legs then. So make sure you've got feet wide enough to push side to side, long enough to push forwards and backwards, and it doesn't make a dent. And then as you lean forward, you put weight on this front foot and try and lift the back leg behind you. Stick this balance, and then your safety net is back to this bulletproof balance. And we keep doing this, and see if you can find the outside back of your hip socket on the floaty leg. So this leg you lift behind you might feel a little bit crampy as you push up and back. And then you can do this soft landing like this. Let's go for a couple more. Amazing. Okay. And then as we bring it back, let's play around with varying equilibrium. So as you reach this foot back, see if you can bring it out behind you and then back out to the side, and you can rotate and still keep this balance, and then spring yourself back to, no matter what, whenever you wobble, you spring back to this. And we're trying to add this to the library of movements that you do. Whenever you nearly fall, you can make a really strong equilibrium back to balance again. This foot swings right back behind you, swings back out and back to balance. Very good, Romy. Swap legs. Let's see. So, pitch that weight forwards, lift that leg out back behind you. See if you can swing it behind your leg, out to the side, swing it behind your leg, out to the side, behind your leg, out to the side. If you can keep stringing this together, keep stringing it together. If you need to check the floor again, you can check the floor and see how my whole torso is rotating and I bring it back. It's kind of tiring, isn't it, Romy? You gonna go to sleep? No? Okay. Let's keep going then with thinking about balance and how it works. So if we go into a little kind of chair pose, like this, so you sat on, almost like you're about to sit in a chair, and then see if you can push weight over onto one foot, reach foot forwards and bring yourself back to safety again, over onto the other foot, reach this foot forwards and push yourself back. And just keep this going at a level that you can deal. All right, Romy, here you go. At a level that you can deal with. So maybe hands reach forwards, his foot reaches forwards every time. Okay, and then let's get into stretchy stuff. So, if we get a little footstool, because it means I can show you sideways on what I'm after. I want you to perch on the edge of your sofa or on a little footstool like this with quite wide feet. So your feet go as wide as you can manage with your toes and your knees pointing up. If your knees collapse inwards, that's internal hip rotation. If your knees are pointing right back like this, it's external hip rotation. I want them to be somewhere in the middle, and then you lean forwards so you can feel stretch down the back of your leg. Both legs. Maybe you can bring fingertips to the floor and you perch right on the edge, so you've just got like just under your bum cheek, heavy on the floor, and we just hang out here. And you can share this with your spine, so if you can look at the back, the shape of my spine at the back, I can reach my hands down flat if I curl my spine over. If I try and lift my chest and just hinge neatly here, I can keep like normal stood up posture in my spine and make this stretch just be all about the back of your legs. That's it. Keep hanging out. And then reach over one leg and get this stretch. Then over the other leg, walk your hands across and get this stretch. We're going to keep seeing if we can get this, and maybe you tease yourself lower as you come across and feel the stretch go from one leg to the other. Romy. And go from one leg to the other. That's it. Cool, and then just to hang out in the middle again and just see if you can drop your belly button any lower here. Pick yourself back up. So you'll know, if you do my class regularly, you'll know how I like you to be able to articulate the stuff that we're stretching into. So we've just done this hamstring stretch. I want you to be able to push your heels down, lower yourself, and then use hamstrings to pick you back up. Then do the same again. So if your lower back doesn't like this, and it's not quite sure, or if you feel like you can't get anywhere, the end of your hamstrings is just here and it feels like you're just going forwards and having to push back, you can go feet flat and find it like this. And maybe you try this anyway, even if you think you had it, and it should be like hamstrings lengthen to come forwards, hamstrings shorten to pick you back up, hamstring lengthens to come forwards, hamstrings shorten to pick you back up, and just keep playing at that. Let's go a couple more. Nice. The last one. Perfect. Okay. And then bring it back up into standing to check in with the hip stuff and going the opposite direction as well. So if you can just balance on one leg and come a bit closer so you can see maybe a bit better. I want you to keep your pelvis the same orientation as you lift your knee, and then open it out to the side, bring it back down again, bring it up, bring it out to the side, bring it back, and bring it back down again, and just keep waving this knee out. With my hand here, I'm going to assess whether or not I share this. You see how my whole torso turned? That isn't it. That's me just sharing it into the standing leg. I want this standing leg to do stability and just this hip socket to find moving out. And then we see if we've got that with a straight leg. So much harder. Making hip flexors work, and I'm not letting this bum cheek travel back. Oh, there we go. Okay, let's try on the other side. So first of all, make it nice and easy. Just lifting this knee out, bring it back. I'm feeling like this is me performing from the hip socket. Hip socket here is doing stability on the standing leg. Hip socket here on the articulating leg is doing movement. And then we try and go foot out. Come on, balance. Foot out, open it out, bring it back. Oh, that is exhausting. I feel like I've done a lot of hip flexor work recently, and this still is asking a lot of me. Couple more. Oh, come on, absolutely terrible. Okay, so we shake it off, and then we'll try and look at lengthening hip flexors and quads. So we've already just looked at these hip flexors in their shortened position as you lift your foot. Sorry, Romy, kicked you in the head a little bit. We're going to go into couch stretch. So with a cushion down, you can use your couch, use your sofa. We're going foot on the back of the sofa, and then you drop onto one knee like this. And it has to be a drop onto one knee like this, so you've got this foot flat. And what is important, probably the most important thing, that you don't have your heel automatically pinned up against your bum cheek, because you probably can, even if you think you can. I want you to be able to lose it and find it. One of the most important lessons in mobility is lose it as I arch my back, find it as I round my back. So as I tuck tailbone under, I find the stretch. As I arch my lower back, I lose the stretch. And I want you to play with that first. Just tilting your pelvis, and every time you tuck tailbone under, we get hip flexor, quad stretch, especially when your chest is up and your muscles in your belly are long. That's it. Oh, it's quite tough. And then I want you to stick with whatever stretch you can find that makes sense. If you're too deep into this and you're like, I didn't get that, I didn't understand it, you probably need to stack your knee on the floor up a little bit higher. So you just maybe put 2 or 3 cushions down, and it might be just enough so that you've got this little gap here between your heel and your bum. Roll me. Sit. Good girl. And just keep with this. So we're still in passive stretch. And then we're going to push our foot down into the sofa, into the couch, whatever you've got. And then we try and lift our heel up to try and own it with tailbone tucked under. It's really difficult. Oh, nearly got cramp. Okay. Pick it up, swap legs. So remember, you want this foot low enough that you can deal quite easily, but still travel in and out of the stretch. So you find it, lose it, find it, lose it. Row me. That's it. And as much as Romy is absolutely a distraction, I'd rather she was here and I didn't have to put her in a crate in the middle of the day and let her just have a bit of time. You can do stuff like this as well. You can be in this stretch and still be talking to your kids, or like letting them join in with you a bit, or letting them climb on you a bit depending on how old and big they are, or letting the dog kind of play a bit of tug-of-war or fetch with you while you're in it, especially if it gives you that space to be able to do the thing more. My favourite is when Romy is like this and I do something good for myself and she gets a bit of attention out of it and I get what I need out of it, and it makes me stick it out way longer than if I was just in a forest in like that perfect setting. Although that setting is lovely, and really honestly we'd all choose doing this on a warm day in a forest with a little gentle breeze, and you had a nice like mat and a yoga mat, and you do mobility stretches in paradise. That's awesome. But how realistic is that day to day? How many of us really have that as an option every day to do our mobility stuff? This is a real option. Dealing with Romy the dog and doing some mobility stuff that works for me day in, day out. It's a reality. It's something that I kind of do quite a lot. Alright, push your foot down now into the sofa, into your footstool, whatever you've got, and loading up the tissues that we're stretching as you push down, and then try and keep your tailbone tucked under as you try and lift your heel. If you don't understand keep your tailbone tucked under as a cue, don't worry about it too much. Just lift your foot, and the more times you do it, the more you'll be like, oh, I did this by like arching my back, and my tailbone comes out from under my bum when I arch my back. So if I tuck tailbone under, it becomes a different thing. Amazing. And then pick it up. Let's go through some nice shoulder stuff. So rotation. So if I stand here and turn my biceps back, turn my biceps in, turn them back, turn them in, turn them back, and turn them in, like this. Trying to get all the turning, trying to feel how your shoulders rotate internally to externally, internally to externally, like this. Very cool. That's it. All right, I'm going to use our shoulder in external rotation. So if you get this with a straight arm, if you bend your arm and get it, so you turn back for external, turn down for internal. We're going to do one arm at a time. Look at this shoulder not shrugging as it goes up and back down, and then I'm going to pin it here in external. So I'm kind of feeling like I'm pulling my elbow forwards, pulling my fist back, and then reach up without punching a lampshade, and then bring elbow down, reach up, back down, and I'm riding on external rotation. All the way up, all the way down. Oh, it's exhausting. Couple more. Nice. Okay, let's try that here. So it goes down and back up. Don't let it shrug, especially on this internal. If it looks like that, I can get really far. It makes it look like I've got a really flexible shoulder. In reality, at the normal amount of flexibility, just enough to be able to perform. That's it. Couple more. Cool. And then rotate back, reach up, back down, up, back down. Keep rotating back. Should be exhausting even without weight. And you could practice this with weight, even like 2 or 3 kilograms is enough to practice that you are gripping on with the rotator cuff. And it needs to be not very heavy, because when it's really heavy, your rotator cuff will probably burn out so quick it's not playing its game anymore, and then it can't assess what's going on as well. You're in more risk of injury. We want to try and get that ability to cling on to external rotation all the way up, all the way down. Very good. Okay, let's get into a bit of hip stretch then. So my usual favourite is elevated 90-90. It's a little bit like an elevated pigeon stretch. So I use this just so I can show you it sideways on, but you can do it facing into the sofa. Put your ankle on and then drop your bum down as you bring your shin across your body like this. So your shin comes across, and then we drop belly onto thigh. We look for stretch down the outside of your right bum cheek if you've got your right leg forwards. And this back leg can go anywhere, it doesn't really matter, but it can be anywhere. It can be outside, it can be this way, it You can even find somewhere that makes it useful. Like that's a bit of a stretch for me there. But I need to be careful it doesn't pitch me away from the hip stretch on the front leg. So having it back here is good for me. And then I almost try and arch lower back. So if I tuck my tailbone under here, I lose the stretch. I find it by bringing this bit lower. I'm just going to play with Romy. And then push down into the sofa, into your footstool, whatever you've got with your shin, and keep pushing down. Keep pushing down, and then lift your chest a little bit and try and lift your knee up like this. So your knee is lifting up towards your armpit. Keep holding, keep holding. Nice, Romy. And then soften down. Okay, swap legs. So bring your ankle on and then drop your bum onto it like this. Because this is a bit like a beanbag, I quite like that it sinks whatever bit I put down first, because this angle for my shin is quite nice for this stretch actually. And then I can get into this stretch down the outside of this hip and just drop and stretch and hang out. This bit of the stretch should be passive, should be reasonably relaxed. So you're just kind of being a bit empty here, just softening, and that is it. And then slowly start pushing your shin down and ramp up tension. Push a bit more and ramp up tension. Push a little bit more and keep ramping up tension. Keep getting stronger and stronger as you push this shin down. Then lift your chest and lift your knee up to your armpit. Own this. That's it. And drop. And bring it back up in standing. So that was a stretch to get in external rotation in the hip. I want you to turn your knee out, turn it in, turn it out, turn it in, and feel muscles that do the external rotation. If you have any pain in the hip, it's really important that you only perform in safe space. So you don't travel to pain, you don't go as far as that. You just try and work out how to make nice things happen. Turn the knee in, turn it out, turn it in, turn it out. Got a couple more. Yes, there we go. And then bring it back to seated. And before we finish up, just arch your back, round your back. Arch your back and round your back. It's a little bit like going from slouch up to proud chest, and feeling how the muscles in your around your spine, in your back, can perform. Go. Bring palms together, thumbs to forehead, tuck chin and roll forwards. Namaste. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I very much appreciate all of you that are watching. Let me know what you got going on. Let me know what you need help with. I'll be very happy to add it in to some yoga. All right, see you soon, everyone. Bye.